All right, here we go. All right. Can you say and spell your name for me for the record?
Brianna Young, BriannaYounz.
Okay, you give me permission to record this conversation and everything?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you are the mother of Ricky Beasley's other daughter, Harlan, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, Harlan is about how many months younger than Zaela or older?
4 months. So they're only 4 months apart.
Okay, so your daughter's 4 months younger
Yep.
than Zaela. Okay, so you and Lakeia were pregnant at the same time, just so people understand the context of all of that.
Right. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So let me just get straight up to the questions because I have basically there's so many questions I have. I actually made a list I'm looking at to make sure I don't forget anything. And also
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we clear the air on a lot of stuff because I know this is a conversation I've been wanting to have for a long time because I know when I first put out the interview with Lakeia, my Facebook page was just like lit on fire. People were all over with it. And I know you were very frustrated. So we'll get into that in a little while, but I just want to get to the main question straight up from the jump.
Right.
Do you have Zaela Walker?
I do not have Zaela Walker.
Did you ever have Zaela Walker?
Never have had Zaela Walker in my presence, in my, household, whatever. I've never had Zaela in my car. No, never
Okay.
had Zaela Walker.
So Ricky never gave Zaela to you to give to someone else?
Correct.
Okay. And at this point, you have no idea of where she is?
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure because your name came up in this whole scenario and I'm trying to figure out how that happened. So tell me, how did your name get into the mix and get roped into the whole situation?
So, to start off I'm not the only Brianna that is involved in this case. Lakeia actually has a sister named Brianna, whom they use our name interchangeably multiple times during audios and interviews with other people. And, so I feel like that's where the confusion was. And also I was in a relationship with this man for forever. And we also have a child. So I understand how I got brought into this, but yeah, Lakeia also has a sister named Brianna who I don't think that anyone knows that about the situation.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so at this point, are you in a relationship with Ricky? What is your status and what's happening there?
No, me and Ricky are no longer together. We are very cordial though, like when he calls me, he talks to his daughter. But yeah, we've been broken up for quite a while now, but we have always remained friends. So, I'm just here with this child and thrown into this whole mix, which is unfortunate, but we just gotta go with the punches, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So have you had, because Ricky got arrested back in, I believe, November, December, and Lakeia's been in since, I think, February, March, so the past few months or so. So have you had communication with Ricky since he's been in jail, and what has he been saying?
Yes, I talk to him pretty often, or I'll go to a visit or whatever. He hasn't really been saying much. He's just as shocked as everyone else. And for the first time, I feel like Ricky has been, manipulated to the point of no return by this chick. Like he's away from Harlan, which is his life, and it's been almost a year now since he's seen her. So, with that situation, it's like I got to do the best that I can with her, but we're not in a relationship. He doesn't really say much. He just doesn't even know what to say.
Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, so you're not in a relationship with Ricky. That's been over for some years now. I believe that's what you said to me. And so let me ask you this, because when I first did the story with Lakeia, I was trying to get his family and his side of the story and things like that, and I couldn't really get anyone. So why have you decided to speak now about what's happened?
Well, social media does its job of switching, the stories and trying to put words in people's mouths. So I just didn't want to involve myself, nor didn't want my daughter dragged into this because it's something serious. Like this is definitely not a game. So, and like from lawyers saying we shouldn't talk to anybody, but now since social media and people on the internet are just so, they create their own stories and they just assume that they know things. And it's like, no, I don't think it's fair at all for, them to just go off of what Lakeia's side of the family has to say, knowing she did a podcast with you and came back lie detector determined it was a lie of majority of things that she did say. So, it's like, let me just get the truth out on our side so, people can stop speculating and, trying to create this puzzle that's not even, the pieces aren't fitting correctly.
Okay, and so that's what I want to get into now as far as Ricky's personality, the type of person he is. Do you believe that Ricky is capable of harming his daughter with you, his daughter with Lakeia? What are your thoughts about that? Because we have this idea that perhaps there may have something has taken place. Here's the bottom line of it. Either one of them, they have to know, someone has to know where this child is.
Right.
So do you believe that Ricky is capable of either throwing a baby against the wall, harming this child in any way, and getting rid of her body?
Absolutely not. Like I said, me and Ricky have our own child together, and he has been the greatest father to her. They have all these little inside jokes and games and things you play. And the fact that they came out with an article saying that, he got upset that she wet the bed and stuff like that. Let me just be the first one to say that Ricky was the first one to decide to want to potty train our daughter. And so when that came about, when everything just came together, I'm like, I'm so confused, like when we were potty training Harley, when he was like, okay, let's go to the store, let's get a potty so she can start. And, when he was over, when he would have Harlan, he would be like, oh, she pottied this many times. And, he would be on it. That's not something that, we would take super seriously. Like, we have a child together. There's going to be accidents, especially during the toddler stage where you're potty training. So I'm not going to buy that he got upset that she wet the bed and threw her against the wall or whatever the situation that they're claiming. I wasn't there, so I don't know, but no, absolutely not. Ricky is not harming a child. We've been around multiple kids, raised multiple children during our relationship, and that's just the hardest part to believe about this whole situation is you're not going to say that he hurt a child at all, and it's not going to fly with me. So we've had an agreement when we had our daughter, we're doing this respectful parenting. We're not whooping and whatever. No, that's not.
And so that leads me to the $1,000,000 question. Why won't Ricky talk? Why do we not know where Zaela is? Why won't he say where she is? If whoever's responsible for having her or whatever, why won't he just point blank say what's going down so he can get out of jail? You know what I mean? It seems simple enough.
Right, exactly. And that's what everyone's been thinking the same. And I'm like, and as far as I'm concerned, he feels like everything that Lakeia has been selling to him obviously is a lie, because when they were on the road, I guess she was telling him like, oh, Zaela is with Brianna, aka her sister, who lives out of state, and he was under the impression that she was sending Zaela like her birthday card and her Thanksgiving and reaching out and stuff like that, writing letters. So that's what he actually did give the police the address that he believed that she was at. That's where Lakeia was saying that she was at. So I don't think he knows, honestly, where she's at. And if she does, he believes that she's somewhere south with her side of the family.
Okay, so what do you know about the last time he saw her? What did he say? Because Lakeia is saying that he took Zaela that day when she had that job interview and he wouldn't give her back. What is your understanding of what transpired that day?
So my understanding, so 2 days prior to that, that's when, or a day or two, yeah, prior to their, vacation or disappearance or whatever, Harlan was with Ricky at home with Zaela, and I FaceTimed her I FaceTimed Harlan on the phone, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Because that was his weekend to have her. They're playing together on FaceTime, so that was the last time I saw her. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. They're jumping on the bed and throwing ball pit stuff on the ground, just playing. Sisters are playing. So I mean, I don't honestly don't even know. It's crazy.
Did he tell you that he gave? Yeah, I was gonna say, did he say he gave Zaela back to her, or how did Zaela leave his presence? That's what I'm wondering.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. So he had a job interview. I know that she was not like that. Lakeia was not welcome in her house, in his mom's house. So then he goes to an interview, comes back, or during that time, I'm not 100% sure on how it went, but at some point, Ricky gave Zaela back to Lakeia. Lakeia goes home, was going to meet up after his interview, whatever. Then I guess they agreed to meet at the park later on after his interview to get Zaela back because he went to the interview. So then he's like, okay, meet at the park. Then he was saying it took her a kind of a long time to get to the park, and I know that it's right across, like right around the area where she lives. So he's like, yeah, I'm waiting there for her, and then she pulls up, and he's like, oh, like where is they? Then she proceeds to say, oh, she went with my mom, Carla, and Willie, or her mom's boyfriend, to she was going to take them out of town to go visit family or whatever, either in Texas or in California. And prior to that, Lakeia was already in Texas a month prior to this. I don't know what she was doing out there, but when I did have a conversation with Carla, she was telling me, when she was in Texas, she was letting random people keep Zaela. So I didn't really, I kind of figured that she was with her side of the family.
Okay, and so I just want to clarify some stuff too. So on around that week of that leading up to August 25th, Ricky had a job interview as well, or was it just Lakeia? Because you said job interview, and I just want to make sure whose job interview are you referring to?
Oh, I'm talking about Ricky's orientation or interview, drug test, whatever. Something happened that Ricky had to go to, and he had to leave. So then he left. He left Zaela with Kiki, and I think that she had a key to his mom's house. So she was inside of the house till he got back, and no one was there at the house, I don't believe.
Do you remember what day that was? Was that the 25th, or what? Do you know what day that was compared
that
to
was,
when
it had to have been the 20, either the 21st or the 22nd when they left.
Okay.
So I think it was earlier in that day. And mind you, I was already gone. I'd already left for out of town on the 22nd when they disappeared. So I was already gone.
Okay. And actually, let me just backtrack a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me and explain to me the origins of your relationship with Ricky, how you know Lakeia, how are you guys all in this mix together? Because I understand there's two mothers of his children, things like that.
Right.
But there was this weird, and sounds like it's a crazy dynamic between the three of you. So explain that to me.
So me and Ricky met in high school. I was a sophomore, he was a senior. Then years down the line, we start working at a call center, and I started working there first, and then Ricky starts working there a couple months after me. And I guess Lakeia and him were in the same, hiring or orientation class. So that's how they met. And then after that, I know that they had a group chat with the new hires and stuff like that they catch up on with things. But I never really, other than APAC, I don't even think I've seen her until she came and knocked on my door 2 days prior to them leaving. So I really never had a conversation with her until, face to face. But she's been harassing me since I can remember. So I met her probably back in 2012, 2013.
Okay. So we have that so people understand kind of when you guys all met and things like that. Okay, yeah. So let me get back to at the point of when Zaela disappeared. So from your understanding around the 25th or whatever, tell me again. So Ricky is saying that Lakeia told him she gave Zaela to someone in her family, and then they just decided to go on a road trip together. Is that, what was that?
So from my understanding is he gave Zaela to Lakeia. Lakeia then goes home with the baby, whatever, with her for half the day until Ricky gets home. Then when they meet up, she's like, "Oh yeah, they're on their way to California or where, I don't really remember where their first stop was. Just so many places, but that they were on their way to. They were following her. They're like, okay, well we're right behind her. Like we're basically following Carla to see where to get Zaela from her mom. So I guess they get to California and they're going into different houses and she's stopping at places, and he's like, okay, she's knocking on people's doors and then coming back out and like looks like she's talking to somebody, and then she'll get back in the car, and then he's like, well, where's Zaela? She's like, oh, she's so and so, going to the next spot. So they get in the car, go somewhere else, like trying to follow where Carla or whoever took Zaela at the time. Um, so that's how the like disappearance, I guess, went. I'm not sure on, where they went to or who said that they had her, but she came to my house about, like I said, 2 days before the situation happened, unannounced. She claimed that she found my address out by herself, like no one told her. So that's kind of scary to know that people will just stalk you and try to find out where you live. But yeah, that's how that first
No.
started.
Okay. Now, and I remember you mentioned to me that for some reason Lakeia showed up to your house and asked you, was Zaela there? What was that, and when was that?
Yeah, so that's what I'm referring to. So that was probably I want to say it was the 20th or the 21st. She knocked on my door. It was like 9 in the morning, and she comes over with her cousin. And right when I open the door, her cousin looks familiar. So I look at her really quick. I'm like, what? And then Kiki proceeds to say, "Oh, I'm not here with the rah rah bullshit. I'm just here to see. Do you have Zaela?" I'm like, why would you think it would be okay for me to have your child? Like, me and you are definitely not on. We're not cordial at all. So the fact that you think that I would have your kid just because of Ricky, I mean, I can understand, but no, I did not have your child. So then um, later on in the day, like she leaves and she's like, okay, well, do you know where D'Angelo lives? I'm like, I have no idea. D'Angelo is Ricky's brother. I'm like, no, I don't know where he lives either. Like, and she's like, okay. And then I call Ricky and I'm like, hey, he's at his orientation. So this is probably, I think this was Monday. I want to say it was Monday. And I'm like, your baby mom just came to my house. Like, she said you didn't give her your address. She said she figured it out on her own how to, find out where I live. And he's like, okay, well, I'm at this orientation or drug test or whatever. I'll call her. And then I did, and then that was that after that.
Okay. So,
So from my
so
understanding, like the baby was already with her, and that was it.
Okay, so just to wrap this up, from what your understanding is, before I move on to the next phase of this, is that there is, from what you understand, Ricky gave Zaela back to Lakeia. You're saying that he told you that she had the baby, and then at some point she says the baby's with her family, so that's what he's thinking, and then they're following her family to California supposedly, but this really never turns out to be much of anything. So
Right.
so we get to the portion of this road trip, right? So once this Friday or whatever day they take off on this road trip, this 4-month journey of whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
What was your communication with Ricky throughout this journey that he was on with Lakeia? What was going on there?
Yeah. So I feel like I was one of the main people who Ricky did get in contact with when he was, out there. So he called probably a week after, and mind you, Ricky just disappearing and like going out and going to different states. He does that on his own. Like, so that didn't like shock me. I was just like, okay, he left, he's gone, he just needs some time to himself. So when he calls me like a week later, I'm like, this is after social media and everyone's like posting, missing, and I'm like, hi, you know that people are looking for you, right? Like, where is Zayla? He's like, what do you mean, where is Zayla? I said, they're saying that you, Lakeia, and Zayla are, missing, and people are saying that you kidnapped them and just all these things. He's like, I gave Zayla back to Lakeia. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, they're not gonna make this up. Like, where is the baby? Because Carla had went to Latanya's house that time saying, which is Ricky's mom, reported them missing or saying like they went missing together. So he's like, oh, I don't know where I'm at right now. I'm at a payphone. I'm at a bus stop. I don't really understand. Um, she's holding like a gun to my head in the car and stuff like that. I just really don't know what's going on. I do have my phone. He had another phone on him. He's like, I do have another phone, but if she sees that I have another phone, that she's threatening to kill me and stuff like that. So I'm like, at first I'm like, this sounds so crazy. Like I wasn't even prepared for that. I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know what to believe, and like I said, social media does a great job of, portraying somebody to be this person and have you even thinking like, dang, is this really even, is this true? But it's like, no. So, he'll call from time to time and then his phone, and then I guess she had found out that the phone was in the car, and then it was a whole ordeal. Then they start driving around some more. And I kept in contact with him probably at least once a week. And then towards the end of their trip, once they were settled, like in Texas or whatever, he would call every day to talk to my daughter.
Hmm. Okay, so let me get into this whole thing about um so when he gets arrested, what do you think about that? So when they come back and through all this whole 4 month journey, he gets arrested, I think late November, first part of December
Yeah, I think
of
it was December 1st.
2018. Yeah, so what goes through your mind when he gets arrested and then when he gets charged eventually with murder? What do you think about that?
So yeah, from the beginning, I couldn't believe it. Obviously, I'm like, well, if you're in town, like I'm just like so many things are running through my mind. Like, okay, they both don't have their kids. And Ricky was the only one that got arrested. So obviously, a lot of things are running through my mind. I'm like, what is happening? So at first, it was just um, he was just held on charges of his mom's car being taken and stolen and stuff like that. And then I think it was just the child abuse and child neglect from the fraud statements that Lakeia has made and accusations that she said about against, Ricky abusing Zaela and sending bruises and stuff like that. Later to come to find out that she lied about that also. So there's no abusing, as my understanding. And so I didn't know what to say. I'm like, he called me right when he got there. He's like, yeah, I'm in jail. Can you help me figure this out? I'm like, well, just where is the baby at? He's like, Bree, I have no idea where she is. I'm like, he sounded worried, but I'm like, no, because this is a serious issue. She was 2 at the time. I'm like, there's a 2-year-old missing. Like, they don't just get up and walk away. Like, you know. And then so my thing is like, where is Lakeia and what does she have to say? And so my mind was going crazy while he was in there, and she was out, and he was telling me all the stories and all the threats that she was making to him. I'm like, well, if you're arrested, I feel like both of you need to be in there
Hmm.
because both of you guys went on this trip together. I don't understand. They claim that Lakeia was cooperating. That's why she didn't get arrested at the time. But yeah, then that's great. That's when the police gave Lakeia his phone, and I'm like, why would you do that? Like, I don't know. It's all over the place, and
Mhm.
I still can't believe what's going on till this day.
Mhm.
Almost a year later after this, it's a lot.
Mhm. So there's so much to this story. One of the other things I thought was interesting that came about with information, and we'll get to that recorded conversation in just a second.
Mm.
But this $13,000, 13 bands. What do you know about that? Like that he supposedly demanded $13,000 from Lakeia to give Zayla back. What's the situation? What do you know about that?
I really didn't know anything about that. I honestly like when they said 13 bands, the way that he talked, I kind of thought it was funny in a way. Like Ricky talks like that all the time, like, oh, 60 bands, this, like when we're talking about music or something like that. So I can see because he was like, no, it wasn't even like I was. Because I asked him about it, I was like, so what are you talking about $13,000? Like, where do you think someone's gonna get that? He was like, Bree, do you really think I expect somebody to come with $13,000 in what, a day? And my thing is, Ricky is a hard worker. Will work 3 to 4 or 5 jobs, no sleep, running on fumes to get something for himself. So him relying on somebody is not the case. So I don't think that he had expectations really of her bringing that much money. It was just like something that he just wanted to throw out just to be funny. Um, I couldn't see him saying, "Oh, for in exchange for your daughter, I need $13,000." That's not Ricky's not going to do that, and Ricky will cave in if he's like, "Oh, I want like with our daughter." He's like, "Oh, I want Harlan to sleep over." I'm like, "No, really, like I really just want her to come home, just because I just feel like I want her." And
Mhm.
he'll be like, "No, you're not gonna have her." And then 2 hours later, he's like, "Okay." He knocks at my door and has Harlan. Like he's like a softie with that, and especially during that audio, he knows that Lakeia or Zaela is really attached to her mom, and he didn't really have a lot of time with her um, before they went missing. He only started getting her in February, so I don't believe that $13,000 was going to be the end all be all to getting her child back. I don't believe that at all.
Okay, and I just actually just picking up from what you were just saying to me too. about the fact that Ricky had just barely started seeing Zaela in what, February of last year. And so talk to me about that. And also, how many times had you actually physically seen Zaela?
Yeah, so he started getting Zaela probably in February, and me and him were not together at that time. Um, so I really didn't question that. I mean, he would get my daughter all the time, but I really didn't have knowledge that they would be around each other like that. And so I mean, at the end of the day, that's his business. That's his other child that he has to deal with. So I didn't
Mhm.
really need to, you know, step in like that. And that is my daughter's sister at the end of the day. Um, but the first time that I met Zayla was around Easter, probably like a week after Easter, a couple days. And I pulled up to the house, I opened the door, and it's my niece, my daughter, and Zayla is there, and obviously Ricky. And I walk in the door, and Zayla's just standing there, like just super quiet, and then my daughter and niece are running all over the place, bouncing off the walls. And I'm like, hi. She goes, hi, oh, hi, how are you? And I sit down on the couch, and she comes right over to me, puts her hand on my knee, like, and does not move for like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, what are you guys doing? Like, what's up? What's up? They had these little, those plastic eggs, and they had like broken crayons in them, and they were shaking them, making noises and stuff. So we're all just playing, having a good time. They're coloring on the floor, um, and then they all just fall asleep. Like, and then you know, so that was my first encounter with her. She did her, um, she did have a huge like patch on her face though. It was like a gauze pad of something, and it was pretty big. Like there was like a huge thing, and she just looked so sad. And I'm like, something's
Hmm.
wrong, especially for her to like just cling over to me. I kind of felt just like motherly instincts. People just, I'm like a baby lover, so any kids, I'm like, oh, I want you, like, So I kind of found that a little off to me. Um, but she was fine. Like, she wasn't like walking around afraid of Ricky. He's like, oh, what are you doing, boo boo? Like calling all them. Like I said, we were getting all them together and coloring. And then the second time was, I honestly don't even remember because it was just so quick. Um, that I was just picking up Harlan from him, and they were all outside,
Hmm.
running around in the driveway, blowing bubbles or whatever, riding scooters. And then Harlan got in the car. I saw Zayla really quick, and that was it. I just picked. I don't even think I barely got off the car. Got out the car. I just kept the car running, and just got Harlan, and that was it.
Mhm.
But then the last time, like I told you, was on FaceTime, like 2 days before they disappeared, when Harlan was playing with her at their house and jumping on the bed and stuff like that. She's like, yeah, I'm playing with this, my sister. And everything seemed fine. So I just, you know,
Mhm. Okay. All right. So let me see. Just want to make sure. Oh yeah, so let me talk about this too, because the other part of like why I want to do this interview the way that I'm doing it is because I know that, when I was people reached out to me, they were like, well, we don't trust the media and this and that. So I want to make sure everyone sees this conversation for what it is with nothing
right.
added or taken away from it. Um, have you spoken to the media before, and why really didn't you do that before?
Um, I did it for one, the sake of Harlan, and then another was Ricky didn't want anyone really to speak out. He's not the person to like wanna not. It's not that it's not confrontation. He just doesn't want to be in the news, and he doesn't want people, to defend him like that.
Mhm.
He kind of just wants to do everything for himself, and he's like, oh, I figured it out. I figured it out. So we were like, okay, well, we're not going to talk then. You don't want us to talk. We're just letting let him go with Lakeia's story. It's in Carla's, and they found out, like we said, Lakeia was lying about certain, subjects and stuff like that, and lie detector tests and whatever. Um, so now I just thought it was a time for both sides to come out. It's like there's no better time than now. Like the audio that just came out a couple days ago, that's raw, real, and it kind of speaks for itself. So now I'm just like, let me just get both sides out, because I'm tired of them portraying him like he's a monster and a child abuser, when I saw him being a father firsthand. Like I I was with him, like I said, for a long time, especially obviously during my pregnancy. He was helping me out. We were doing classes. He surprised us with our first apartment when I was on my due day, actually. So I just think that it's time for people to know, like, both sides, the truth. There's nothing to hide over here. We're not speaking out because we have Zaela, we're hiding Zaela. It's just, we just wanted to stay out of the media. We didn't think that honestly, I didn't think it was going to ever get this far to any extent, like I didn't think this would be what it is today. And so I'm just like, let me just lay it out on the table. People can see it for what it is.
Do you think that Zayla is still alive?
I do. I do feel like Zayla's still alive. I feel like she's with a family member of Lakeia's family, or she knows exactly where she is or what she did to her child. Like, and it's scary because she's not saying anything. But in the audio, she's like, I'm out here doing criminal activity. I'm giving you stolen federal property, and it's just off to me. It's off.
So what did you think about the recordings? Do you think Ricky took other recordings, and why do you think he did that in the first place?
Yeah, so he did have other recordings in his phone. He had got in contact with somebody on the road. I believe it was his sister or his cousins or something like that. And he just couldn't believe it. He's like, no, like something just feels wrong, And so they were like, well, you need to start recording everything just in case, like you need to record her conversations if you feel like she's crazy and you may think that something may happen to you or she's going to harm herself. So for his precaution, he started recording on his phone. So he has a whole bunch of mini snippets of conversations and, during their whole, I haven't heard any other ones. I feel like that was the main one that I listened to. But yeah, like the DA and the police say that they have a lot of audio on their trip.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever known for Ricky to be in trouble, have any kind of law, record, situation, criminal activity, or anything like that?
No. Last time Ricky was in 18 years old and went to juvie for I don't even remember. I don't think I met him at this time, but he was there when he was 18 or 17 or something like that. That was the last run-in with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Do you think? So I know his trial date is set up for next year. Are you going to be there every day? What is your plan with that?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna stand by him. I just want him to have a fair chance at everything, and that's why I also wanted to do this interview, is because I don't want they're only going off of what Lakeia is saying at this point, just because no one is talking. And yeah, I will be there at trial every single day, and I don't want it to get that far. Like, I hope that she's found soon, or but I will be there.
Well, it's amazing that, I'm just trying to figure out why Ricky won't talk. You know what I mean? It's talk, get out of, tell what you know, get out of jail.
He's stubborn, Taurus bull. That's why.
Wow.
He's very he, and especially in certain situations like this, in the audio, I kind of feel like you can tell that he's, wanting to try to help her in a way to, calm her down. And I don't know. I'm like, and every time I talk to him, I'm like, you need to talk to somebody. You need to talk to somebody now. He did speak to the FBI though, which I don't think they mentioned that. They just kind of say that he's uncooperative. And I mean, like I said, the media doesn't really know a lot that's been going on. They just kind of try to piece stuff together. But yeah, he's talked to the FBI, but other than that, I don't think he knows what to say. He's telling them all that he could. He's like, my understanding is she's in the South with her sister Brianna, and that's it. And then he gave them her address, and supposedly they went to go check and see if she was there. But I'm not 100% sure that's accurate.
Okay, so I'll wrap up pretty quick here, but I want you to I guess at the very least, if there's anything that you want to clear up, to clarify, to put on a table about the situation or anything like that, is there anything left that we did not talk about?
I mean, yeah, I feel like this is honestly a setup. I mean, people can listen to the audio. I mean, I'm sure you'll post it or people have seen it, of the conversation. Lakeia, I believe, just doesn't have like a motherly bone in her body. She's been causing problems with me and Ricky from the beginning, threatening me, threatening my family, threatening my friends. It's just this situation is absolutely crazy. I'm gonna make sure I hit all my points too, because I'm like, I had to write some notes because I had to just be ready.
You know what? Let me ask you this too, while you're doing that. I remember Lakeia mentioning that Ricky's state of mind, he was like suicidal at some point and all this other stuff. Have you ever known for him to have like issues like that?
I wouldn't say it was like issues. everyone has their days where they, feel more depressed than others, or, just going through certain things. It wasn't like every single day he was suicidal or what. No, I mean, he definitely was down in the dumps a couple times, and, you know, had cries out for help. But Ricky's the type of person who he doesn't want to ask for help. He doesn't want, he wants everyone to be okay. He wants to make sure that everyone's okay before himself. So he will put himself last in any situation just to make sure that he's okay. But like I said, me and Ricky have been around many kids before, nieces, god kids, um, we've raised them since little kids. So just the fact that they're trying to create him to be this monster, it's like, I just want him to know, like, I want people to know Ricky is not this person. Ricky is intelligent. He is smart, a great dad. He will give you the shirt off his back, last dollar. He will anything that you need. Ricky will always put you in a place to, better yourself. And as far as the fake accusations of bruises, like I said, I'll send you the images so that you can include also of, her lying, saying that Ricky abused Zaela, that is. Ricky abused Zaela, and sent pictures, and then a couple days later said, she was trying to stir up drama just because of, her reasoning. I feel like her reasoning being she was upset that, Ricky didn't want to be with her anymore. That was their situation, was what it was. She lied from the beginning, saying that, she wasn't going to have the baby in the beginning. And so under his understanding was, okay, the reason why he hasn't been in her life was because she was saying that wasn't his kid, So it did take him a while. He's not a deadbeat father. She's, saying all these things. I'm like, I just don't understand how it can be so black and white with my daughter in that. So you're telling me, I'll drop Harlan off over there and Zaela will be there too, but he's going to take Zaela in a different room and beat her up, but my child comes back fine. And, that just doesn't make sense. And then, she's been causing problems. And the people who, because like I said, I don't really know her, but ever since this conversation or ever since this thing has been going on, people have been reaching out to me saying, yeah, she didn't really seem like she was in the right state of mind. She was a little crazy and stuff like that. And people just couldn't believe it. And so like she said, she said when she came back, she was going to say that she wasn't a victim, and that she set everything up, and everyone in her family are manipulators. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone in her family has Zaela, and that's upsetting. That I feel like the DA and investigators are not taking that serious. They're just going with the story and trying to pin it all on him just because that's what the media is obviously showing you. And so now Ricky is locked up on 23-1. Lakeia is telling lies on lie detector tests, and like no one has any care for what's going on in Ricky. Yeah, I understand that he's not talking or cooperating, but hi, can you give me a second? Oh, I'm gonna appear on the screen. Can you go upstairs really quick? I'll come get you in a second. Yeah. Okay, just stand right here then. If she planned this out, he really doesn't know where she's at. And I can honestly see that. Like, Ricky is very, very smart, but she is so manipulative. And she, like I said before, she switched up so many stories in me and his relationship, and, try to split us apart just because she's jealous. And I feel like she only kept Zaela to try to keep Ricky around, and that just wasn't working for her. So her love for Ricky, I feel like she would honestly do anything. So I feel like she knows exactly where her child is, or what she did with her child. I feel like they need to definitely take a look at her car that was sold during this open investigation, because I don't feel like it's fair for her to be able to say, like, they had a car that smelled like whatever in the car, and then they have their car, impounded in Texas when they got arrested, and the car was already cleared. So now I'm like, okay, well, now you need to go get her mom's car that you said smells like, or a car that smells like meat. His mom's car was already cleared with a fine-tooth comb, with investigation, but yet her mom sells the car during an open investigation and then files for custody of Zaela. So I totally get it. Like we were talking about, she was probably worried, like, okay, if she does come back, if something happens to the parents, then she'll have custody. But it's like, that's just odd to me. Like, I really want everyone to have I want Ricky to have a fair chance at getting out, and I just know that she will do anything to try to keep him in here. And the fact that her story changed so much was, I don't know, it's a little too much.
So the bottom line is you think that Lakeia set him up because she was jealous, or why do you think, like,
Oh
why would
yeah.
she set him up?
Well, so the reason why his understanding was going to Texas, getting settled in Texas, was she felt like she needed help, getting on her feet for Zaela. She felt like, oh, you did all this for Brianna during your guys' relationship. You owe me. You owe it to me to, help me get on my feet, at least for me and Zaela to live this life. And Ricky will go anywhere, do whatever for his kids and make sure that obviously the mother of his children are stable. So he will go above and beyond. He will work jobs for me until I get a job. So it wasn't that didn't sound like crazy, but her saying that, oh, we can't start a relationship and without Zaela and stuff, like, you were never in a relationship. It was never a relationship. She doesn't know any of his family members except for his mom. Like, she was never brought around the family. It wasn't like that. So she is creating this thing in her mind that they had this whole relationship. It's like, no, there was a situation to where you fell pregnant with Zaela, and that's that. And he wants to take care of responsibilities and all that. And you lied from the beginning saying that this wasn't his kid, and then now you wanna hound everybody else and say that, oh, he's a deadbeat and stuff like that. But behind closed doors, you're really saying that he's not a deadbeat and that he's a great father. And she even said he was the one to help her potty train Zaela and go to the bathroom by herself. And she was posting that all on Twitter, like, I'm so thankful that my baby's dad is in my life now, and she helping me with Zaela and stuff. So I can't see. I'm not gonna, unless I hear it out of his mouth that he did anything to a child. I'm not believing it. And everyone can really just stop with the accusations, and because it's just not getting anywhere. Like, he was under the impression he was helping her get on her feet in Texas, and that was that. Then in December they were supposed to come back because I guess the authorities put out a statement saying that they needed to speak with them, and then they come back, and then they said they get pulled over by police, and then that's that with the with the whole case, and that's when he got arrested, and that was that.
So the whole thing, and just to kind of clarify too, the whole thing with you believe that he would never in any way hurt a child in any way, and then I'm thinking about the thud that his mother supposedly told investigators about that she heard. What do you
Right.
know about this thud with Zaela using the bathroom on herself and all of that?
Yeah. So like I said, I know what the house looks like. I know what room happened. So I'm easy. It's easy to envision it in my head. So Ricky told me that he was folding the little it's like those gymnast mats, that are on the floor you pull out. That's where Harlan and Zaela, he'd make like cute little bed on the ground for them. They can have their little sleepover. So he was folding it up, and I feel like that's what hit the side of the wall, or hit the dresser, hit the wall, or whatever the case may be. And then that's why, and so then that's the thud. Comes out of the room. His mom's coming out. He's holding Zaela, I believe. And then Tanya comes out, and whatever they talk about, and really, like I said, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But he puts Zaela in the shower, and then goes to sleep. The next day, Ricky comes out the room saying that he needs to be driven to an interview, need an orientation or whatever. She peeks in, Zayla's just sleeping on the ground. So I feel like they failed to mention that she was seen the next day, because after they say, oh, she hears a thud, and that's the last time that they heard of it. But then it's, later on in the day, they Google how to look up seizures, and then Ricky goes to a smoke shop to get a pre-roll for a 2-year-old. Like, that's that's the thing. Like, I was in a situation before where I had to be rushed to the hospital to having like a seizure-like symptom called tremors or whatever. Ricky, I think he left out the house without shoes on to drive me. Probably we should have, like I said, we should have got a ticket driving on the way to the hospital because he was driving so fast. So I'm not buying that he saw his child have a seizure and was like Googled it and then went to the smoke shop to get a pre. So, like, are they trying to say that he let a 2-year-old smoke a joint for a seizure? Like that's not, I'm not gonna buy that. So
Hmm.
yeah, so it's like it's just so crazy to me. It's unbelievable. So I mean, when I asked him about that, I was like, yo, like why are they saying that you went to go to a smoke shop and weed and stuff like that? She was like, we were in the house. Then she all of a sudden, Lakeia felt like she was gonna feel, she was feeling like sick, and she's like, I can't do this. I'm too stressed out. Can you please go drive me to go get a pre-roll? That's why he drove to the smoke shop and got the pre-roll for her. It's not,
Hmm.
he's not going to get a pre-roll for his child. And then as far as the seizure search, Ricky, I don't know if anyone knows, but Ricky worked with his grandmother in a behavioral health, like a facility, I don't know if it's a facility office or whatever. So he helped people who, had a history of seizures, has a history of multiple sclerosis, or, just mental illnesses, or, body illnesses that they can't do anything. So I went with Ricky multiple times to, drop stuff off to older people, like somewhere far, like almost like in Henderson, he would bring them groceries and stuff like that. So him searching up a seizure, I can definitely see like, okay, that's a part of his job. He's trying to help, you know, find out ways to help people who have seizures or something like that. Yeah, it may not have been the best timing, I guess, for the situation, but he was
Hmm.
even telling me like if they look back, I'm sure they have something in my phone that says a multiple sclerosis, what helps with that. So the whole seizure search, he's not gonna go to a, oh, sorry.
You still there? Oh,
You
okay.
see me? Yeah, sorry, I was getting an incoming call. He's not going to go to a smoke shop or a dispensary to get weed for his child, and
Hmm.
that I'm not buying that situation. So wetting the bed is, that's not a big deal. Like when me and Ricky used to, have Harlem, we'd take like family showers. Harlem would pee, run around the house and pee. It was funny. Like that's our kid. It's our. I feel like her bodily fluid is from me. So I mean, it is what it is. But I'm not seeing him getting upset over wetting the bed, knowing that that's a part. That was a part of what you wanted to start doing with the girls, anyways.
Hmm.
But now they're saying that you just got so upset over wetting the bed. If anything, he's probably upset that he has to wash the sheets for like the fourth time. But
Hmm.
that's it. Like he's not getting upset
Hmm.
that a child had an accident, especially like I said, dealing with all the kids that we've had. He done had poop on his shirt and out in public, and just, it's just
Hmm.
bad vibes, I guess.
So do you think have you had to testify, or do you think you will?
So I testified in front of the grand jury before, and that's before they. Oh, I'm so sorry. What is happening? There we go. Yeah, I'm sure I got subpoenaed before they pushed the trial date back. I was already subpoenaed to go back for trial, and so yeah, I definitely. I feel like they created me to be this huge, witness in this case, and like I said, I wish I had more information on where she is, and it's very, very sad that she's away, probably in an unfamiliar space, or maybe she's not. Maybe she's with family, but and being away from your parents for this long is just it does damage, especially within like the first 300, um like 1,000 days of your life or something like that. Like the first 3 years of your life, you're really, your brain and everything. And I'm just a lot into like children stuff and development and things like that, so I know that's doing damage to her, not being in a familiar environment. And it's sad. It's like i I really wish Lakeia would say what happened, because that audio just doesn't, it's not doing it for me. The audio is basically her, admitting her fault, saying that she did something wrong. But then again, it's like she's saying that she's with Brianna, and I don't, and she's not talking about me, because like I said, I've never had her. Then they had people randomly come to my house and check my house and make sure that my child is, has food, and making sure that she has a bed to stay. And I'm like, what? I don't understand what's happening.
Mm.
So, it's strange. Yeah, it's a lot.
Mhm. Now you said you were gonna check your list. You wanna make sure you check everything you want to
Oh
say
yeah,
that
yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, That's another thing. Like with like Lakeia saying that I did have Zaela at one point. My thing is, one, we're not even close. Me and you are not even close to where you would even. I wouldn't even feel like you'd be cool with me having Zaela in my presence if you don't like me. Like I get it. I have another child with Ricky and everything like that, but I would not leave my child with her. So the fact that she was she was saying that she was with me, but one never reached out. I'm like, if you were starting a whole new life out in Texas or whatever, and I have your child, regardless, it does not matter. You're gonna get in contact with me. You find a way every other time to, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, harass me, whatever. So the fact that you did not reach out to me one time for believing that I had your child, like you didn't send anything to my house. You know where I live. You knew my address, obviously. So if you were out, you could have sent a card. You could have sent something, and nothing. Didn't reach out one time, even if I were to have Zaela. So she's a piece of work. I this whole thing is just I just can't believe it. I'm just like, how is someone in a situation like this, and how do you not know where your child is at? That's why it's just so bizarre. I'm like, and when I talked to Ricky, he was telling me Zaela was never even in the car with them at all. He said he left her where he left her with Kiki, and she took her to her mom. Then all of a sudden, her mom had this surgery around the time that they went missing. It's just things just don't add up, Like there's just a lot of things that I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Now I'm like, okay, well, I want receipts to where the car is at. Now I'm asking, detectives, can you go find the car that that Lakeia was in, to search that. And I just don't feel like anyone's doing a big part of that. Also, the living environment that like Ricky was telling me about, how Zaela was living over at Lakeia's house, that it was just the stepdad didn't want Zaela crying and stuff like that. So he had kicked Zaela and Kiki and Zaela out of the house because she was crying too much. But Ricky would say like how she was walking around the house in like little tiny shorts around the stepdad. It was just so weird, like very, very strange. And I'm like, okay, and Ricky doesn't put up with that. He's like, no, let me take you out of that environment. You're not going to be around in booty shorts. You're 2 years old, like, so I feel like that house there's something that's more to be said. And I'm not buying it, because when I met up with Carla, it was, she had this whole belief that, Ricky is pimping her out somewhere in Las Vegas, and, she'll do anything for her daughter. And then to come to find out, it's both of them are charged with the same thing. Your daughter is on a recording saying that she set everything up, that everyone else that she's with is manipulators, that Ricky has done no wrong to anybody in the family for them to react like this, except for out of Lakeia's insecurities and things like that. So, I just, like I said, I just wanted everyone to know, like, the real Ricky, he is not an evil person. Like, our daughter is fine, beautiful, she's great. She misses her dad. It's unfair that, while Zaela is out here and nobody knows where she's at, I do have a daughter who is missing her dad right now, and it's almost been a year, and who knows when she's going to see him again. And that's a hard part about it, that is her, and that, like I said, that is her sister at the end of the day. She talks about her all the time. But she'll open up about certain things, where they said they were at the park and there was a incident at the park, and my daughter repeated that. Mind you, she's 2 years old at the time. She repeated that incident very clearly of what happened, of Lakeia getting mad at Zaela for falling down at the park, and then Lakeia whooped her, or how our niece was told by Zaela that her mom tried to erase her face, and that's why that thing was on her face. And then it started making sense. I'm like, this girl is like not being taken care of. And so that's when Ricky was like, okay, then they came up with stories of the baby having cancer or something like that. So Ricky was gonna be on his job to, get custody of Zaela, or get on the birth certificate, or start actually having custody, because at the end of the day, it took him longer than it should have, but he, from the beginning, he believed that wasn't his child. And until like the tests and stuff like that were going to come out, or he just wanted to own up to it, he's going to treat every single child like the first one, the second one, the third one, they're all the same. So I'm not gonna. He's not singling any child out. There's no abuse going on ever. So it doesn't make sense. Ricky's not putting his hand on a child, and that's just not flying with me, knowing how he is with our daughter. And I feel like that's why I can speak on that whole incident. Ricky's not throwing a child. Ricky is 6'3", like 170, 18, 175 on a good day. Like, yeah, he's big. He's not throwing a child. Like, no, that's not flying. He might throw her up in the air and try to catch her and do all the tickles and all the things, but hurting a child, you're not going to come at Ricky's character that way. And I just feel like, the audio speaks volumes. Everyone should be investigating it, and it should be a fair trial. Both sides should be speaking out and have everyone's truth be out. And like I said, for my daughter's sake, I didn't want all this to have to blow up. I didn't think I was gonna have to speak to anybody or whatever, but I just felt like it was time, and just to set the record straight that that's not the person that he is.
Okay. Did you went down your checklist? You got
everything? Let me double check one more.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna assume that everyone on your thing is gonna listen to the audio. So I just want everyone to listen to the audio and take what you want away from it, obviously. But it's plain as day as what is going on. I do just feel like she knows something that's going on, and he's completely just blindsided or just does not want to get her in trouble. He wants her to stay with. He never wanted to take Zaela away from her mom. He's he loves, like he said in the audio, he loves his mom to death. So I can't see him wanting to take Zaela away from another comfortable. He doesn't want to take her from a comfortable environment and put her in situations to where she's not comfortable. So obviously having Lakeia around and stuff like that was definitely helpful, and through that transition and stuff like that. But I'm just making sure.
No, hey, that's why we're having this conversation. So this is yeah, I mean, we've talked for almost, I'm looking at the thing, it's almost an hour. So this has been a very in-depth conversation. And I
just want to make sure I'm not missing any points, because I'm just tired. I know I'm going to get, I'm going to get backlash on the video or two or whatever. I really don't care. I just know what I'm saying is truth, and no one can tell me otherwise about how he was, how our daughter, like relationship wise, is a whole other conversation. But right now we're talking about children involved, and there's a missing child who is out in this world. She's probably scared for her life, and that hurts my heart. I had one more. I just can't find it. Come on. Okay. Nope. I think I pretty much, covered everything.
All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm going to post this today.
Okay.
The whole thing in its entirety, and then just kind of go from there. And honestly, I will, see if Lakeia's family has any kind of response to this, because that's, as a journalist, that's what I need to do. And then just kind of go from there. But I will post this as it is, just so people understand, and people don't trust the media, and we say we edit stuff. I'm like, nope, this is exactly what it was. You know what I mean? Just saying, like, seriously.
Raw, real, straight.
Yeah, raw and uncut, straight up. So, and I will be waiting for the, you said you had some snapshots of some social media posts and things like that. So if anything, I may edit some of those things into this so people can understand exactly what you're talking about, as I, in that section. So other than that, I think we'll be good to go. And like I said, I'll post this today, probably within the next hour or so. And then, that'll be it.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. I'll send those to you shortly, and we should be good to go. Awesome.
All right, Brianna, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The views, information, or opinions expressed during the Intrigued, Full Effect, Curious Cases, Disappearances, and Other Stuff podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the host. The primary purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. The host of this podcast assumes no liability or responsibility for any activities in connection with opinions shared in the podcast. The podcast and blog associated with it shall not be used in any legal capacity or as a basis for expert testimony. Any copyright material in the podcast is approved by the owner or is part of the public domain. Music by Pond 5.